So chat, instead of being all depressed, though, let's get mad as hell. So Trump did an interview with Laura Ingraham on Fox News a couple days ago, and I tried to find the full interview. For some reason, I could not find it. Granted, I only did like a quick Google search, so I'm assuming it's either paywalled or locked away somewhere because pretty much everything is filled with the clips of the interview, and both Democrats as well as the overarching right just shitting on Trump for this stuff. And with the news articles and things like that. So we're going to deal with clips today. If anything has been taken out of context, please let me know. It was an absolute shit show because it wasn't just one clip here.
Is it the Jews?
Like it wasn't just
I'm
one
assuming it's
clip
always the Jews.
where Trump said something really stupid. No, it was multiple clips, and it gets worse. It gets worse to the point where even the woman, okay, he's letting a woman actually be on a stronger position than he is, and he is the president of the United States. It's just a complete dumpster fire. Absolutely complete dumpster fire with this. So, first off, let's deal with the 50-year mortgage where you can lease your house from the government. Turn that up.
Another thing that your administration is trying to tackle, many Americans, the average age of first-time home buyers are now up to age 40, which is sad. The country you and I grew up in.
I inherited that. Look, you have to understand.
Right, but let me get to the question, though, because your housing director has proposed something that has enraged your MAGA friends, which is this 50-year mortgage idea. So a significant MAGA backlash, calling it a giveaway to the banks and simply prolonging the time it would take for Americans to own a home outright. Is that really a good idea?
It's not even a big deal. I mean, you know, you go from 40 to 50 years. And what it means is you pay something less from 30. That some people had a 40, and then now they have a 50. All it means is you pay less per month. You pay it over a longer period of time. It's not like a big factor. It might help a little bit. But the problem was that Biden did this. He increased the interest rates, and I have a lousy Fed person who's going to be gone in a few months.
This is just one of many fuck ups from this interview. Okay, like like you're going from 40 to 50. No, it's 30. Trump doesn't even know. Like, okay, maybe if this was like the only clip from this interview that he really fucked up, you might be able to give him a pass and say he misspoke. That's 20 years. That's 50 years is basically your entire fucking life. Because people can't, like, okay, listen, I'm in my early 20s, okay? And I, not like I've really done much with my life, I will fully admit that, right? But there are men like you, chat, who have worked their ass off, gone into a trade, went to college, got their degree, you know, or got high-paying jobs, whatever the case is, that are in their 20s in general, you know, and still can't afford to get a house. You know, you're not wasting it on a brand new phone, you're not wasting it on a brand new car, you're not, you know, eating out every single night with your Uber Eats or what the case is, right? Like, you are just trying to survive, and they still can't afford houses. So let's say you're like 27 years old, and for some magical reason you can actually afford to possibly get a house. Once again, magically. I don't fucking know how. But let's say you manage to do it, because it seems like it's basically impossible these days. 50-year mortgage. You're gonna be paying that till you're fucking dead. Like till you're basically dead, because what the average lifespan is like in their 80s, right? But you finally, by the time you get paid off, and that's 50 years, so who knows what will happen in 50 fucking years. I mean, look how much America has changed in 50 fucking years in itself. Look at how interest rates have gone up. Look at how much immigration we've imported in. Look how wages have become stagnant and at the same time worse off. Like, who knows what wars we're going to be dragged into if you have to refinance your mortgage because you have some crazy tragedy happen in your family or to yourself. You know, you get into an accident or something like that and you need the money. Like, who knows what could happen within that 50-year time period, right? It's already bad enough at 30. Like, the 30 years also kind of already bad. Like, I know Dave Ramsey is boomer slop. Okay, and I know it's almost impossible to pay for a 15-year mortgage these days because for the reasons I already listed. But, like, 30 years is already a good chunk of your life to begin with, for the same reasons that I listed with the 50 years. But now you're adding 20 more years of risk on top of that. This is awful. This is awful. You're not actually owning your house, and you have to pay for the repairs still. It's not like you're actually renting it out like you would for like a regular apartment or a condo, whatever the case is. You have to pay for all the repairs yourself. You have to mow the grass. You have to shovel the snow. And then on top of that, and on top of the cherry on top is, even though your monthly payments are less, your overall interest is so much fucking higher. Now, granted, this is somebody who did this in like a notepad, right, doing the math. But there was many, many more examples of people who have done the math before, and showing how much more you're paying off. So like if it's a 400,000 mortgage comparison at 6%, let's say you magically got 6%, because last I heard the rates are like 7 and 8%. A 30-year mortgage, your monthly payment would be $2,398, but your overall loan cost is 863,352 versus the 52-year mortgage. While your monthly payment will be about $200 less roughly, your overall loan cost is $1 million. Oh, well over $1 million there. So you're paying $400,000 more on it for already a $400,000 fucking mortgage in general. You're paying so much more money in the long run, and like the rates are just going to go up. Your wages are going to decrease. Like we're never going to be able to get back to a time where things cost pennies and dimes and dollars. As soon as inflation goes up, it almost never goes back down, especially at the rate that we're going. Plus, with the other clips he's saying, it's only going to get fucking worse. It's not going to actually get better. This is just suicide. And then anybody who's like, oh well, you can just not get a 50-year mortgage. Do you think that's not going to actually affect the housing market in any way, shape, or form? The banks are so going to be pushing these like fucking crazy. Because look how much more money they can get off of you for it. And there's going to be dumb fucks who are not going to be able to do basic fucking math on this, who just see, oh, lower monthly payment, and so therefore they'll go with the 50-year mortgage because it's a lower monthly payment by $200 fucking dollars. And so therefore it will affect the housing market and the prices based off that, because they're going to be shilling the 50-year mortgage and making things worse. This is not going to help people. It's not going to help people. It's going to make things a million times worse. You're selling your soul to the fucking bank. Absolutely fucking abysmal here. We're going to assume he calculated that correctly. We're at the end of the house is paid for. Yes, right? And the thing is, that's not like the only example here. Here's like a $500,000 house example, where basically the same thing versus like a 3% interest rate in 2021 versus a 2025 interest rate, and a 30-year mortgage versus a 50-year mortgage. Well, granted, a 3% interest rate is almost impossible to fucking get these days, so I feel like it's a little bit unfair comparison. But granted, it is from 2021 after all, so I guess it kind of evens out. That's once again how bad things have gotten with the interest rates. Like, and therefore, if this is calculated correctly, because once again, these are just examples of how this is, with a 30-year mortgage at a 3% interest rate back in 2021, and they misspelled mortgage. Bruh, whatever. Now I'm doubting the math. But regardless, even I, the woman brain who can't do basic math, is well aware that with interest rates in 20 fucking years, you're gonna be paying a lot fucking more. Although the absolute state of education. Can I just live in a box? Well, they have those for you these days. They have those for you. Unless you're making extra payments to the principal each month, you won't even begin to touch the principal for something like 5 to 6 years. Yes. Like, this is just... There's just no way that I'm gonna be able to own a house. Like, you need to have a two-person income just to survive, even when it comes to renting an apartment. A house is just basically it's a dream, a fantasy. I will never actually own anything and be happy. Like, which, granted, I mean, I shouldn't say anything. I will not let the World Economic Forum win when it comes to that narrative. I will not be demoralized in that case. But, I mean, I live with my fucking dad, okay? Like, it's not happening. Like, it's just not fucking happening. And I need a husband to even possibly make it happen. And no, don't get the wrong idea, chat. Yes, I am working on that aspect of things. But it's just, it just is what it is at this point. And even then you hear all these stories of all these different couples that do work, you know, both have their own jobs, and they still can't fucking afford a house. It just seems impossible these days. When someone dies, you're supposed to sell their assets, when they die to take care of their debts, but you don't actually inherit their debt directly if they don't have enough assets to pay off of it. So, at least here in America. But still, this is abysmal. And he thinks this is actually good for a 50-year mortgage plan. Because, like, I know we already played the clip, but he was going back about this, and she was correcting him. Like, Laura Ingraham, a fucking woman, talking back to the president because he doesn't know what he's talking about here. Like, this is just... Why? Why do you think this is so good? Why do you think? Ugh. He knows it's not good. He's just doing what his Semitic masters tell him to do. Okay. I do agree with that point as well. However, with him boldly saying 40, once again, if this was just one bad clip from him, I'd be like, okay, he misspoke. But how boldly he said it, plus with all the other shitty clips from this interview, it makes me think that he has been out of touch with, because the thing is, he's a billionaire, remember? Like, the Trump's a businessman. That's one of the reasons why, you know, people loved him in the beginning, back when he first ran in 2016, because he wasn't a politician. He was a businessman. He would run the government like a business and actually be able to trim the fat and blah, 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 blah. And now he's actually officially a politician, by the way, chat. He's officially a politician. So... welcome in, everybody, to this wonderful party. And I don't, at this thing, he's been so out of touch, they really thought there were 40 fucking year interest loans and mortgages, blah. And it's getting even worse. Oh, hold on. Because, so reportedly, okay? Reportedly. So take this with a grain of salt with how much blowback that the 50-year mortgages have been going on for the past few days on Twitter. They might not do this, but reportedly, the mid-admin's also working on doing 15-year car loans, too. So, chat, hold on, hold on. Right here, you hear this hardcore fapping going on right now? Yeah, so this is Klaus Schwab's Great Reset, COVID-19 Great Reset that I have right in my hands here. So, have you ever heard this terminology called, you will own nothing, and you will be happy? Yeah, well, welcome to renting from the banks. You will own nothing, and you will be happy. You just have to pay high fucking interest, to actually own absolutely nothing. But remember, those monthly payments are less. Agenda 2030. Yes. Klaus Schwab, he might have stepped down from the World Economic Forum, but he's still controlling us. I was gonna say from the grave, but he's not dead yet, unfortunately. So, are you happy? Are you happy? You will live in the pods and you shall eat the bugs. I'm excited, chat. No, I've never heard of it. Amal, please explain. Yes. So for those who don't know, this wonderful man named Klaus Schwab is the leader of, well, he used to be the leader of the World Economic Forum, but he stepped down recently. He still controls from the shadows. And they were one of the big proponents back in 2020 during the COVID era for what's called the Great Reset, where they were hoping that with the government shutdowns, the government would get more control and they could use their globalist agenda to control the world and to basically force people by 2030, that was their goal, and their phrase was, you will own nothing and you will be happy, where everything was rentable, where you would live in a little pod. And I'm not even joking there, they would actually live in a little pod and some sort of like little apartment there, and you would just go on your phone and you would order things like dishwares. And then that's how you would actually cook. You wouldn't actually own your dishes, you would just rent the dishes and some robot would come by and like pick it up. Basically the whole idea was to become a rent state, and you will own nothing and you will be happy. This is the rough summary from my memory there. And they were using COVID as the main push to make that happen with the government shutdowns. It's literally a dystopia, but they try to sell it to you as a utopia. And it got so much blowback back then that they had to wipe their site. You can find archives on archive.org, and other archiving sites here. So, and the best part is, every single global world leader is part of the World Economic Forum, like Trudeau, even though I know he's out of office now. Macron, Boris Johnson was back in the day too. Biden was. Technically, Trump has been invited and has actually gone to the summit too. Merkel back when she was in charge. So basically, and even the South America presidents as well. Basically, all the world leaders are part of the World Economic Forum. Globalism isn't a conspiracy theory. It's not a simple game theory at the end of the day. It is real. It is actually real and happening. And well, that's why the EU is pushing for digital ID. And they're also trying to push it within Canada and Australia, and the next target is the US. It's all working together to make your life worse because they like it when you're a slave. How many of the world leaders? Basically all of them. The globalists are coming for the US, the US or the globalists? Well, they're part of it, yes. Other than the world leaders being in it, is this just a forum online? No. These are big players like Lawrence Fink, the chairman and CEO of BlackRock, where they have these meetings in person, usually in Europe, like Munich, all the time to discuss different things, like human resources within the government, financial and institutional governments, then environmental impact. They focus a lot on the environment as well. Forum brings together stakeholders to help address the greatest ecological crisis over time. Our platforms aim to facilitate action-oriented communities of stakeholders from all parts of the international system. We recognize that in offering these platforms, we consume finite resources and cause emissions. We take the utmost care to minimize and mitigate our environmental impact, implementing region-specific actions to further reduce our footprint wherever possible. They used to have on their website a place specifically advertising the different world leaders. I know they've wiped their website a couple times. I know that for a fact because it got a little bit too much heat. After dealing with the backlash with these 50-year mortgages, because people are pissed off about it, reasonably so, they decided to do an exclusive interview with Politico with sold POTUS a bill of goods. White House furious with Pult over 50-year mortgage. So now they're trying to have a scapegoat here with this dude. I've never even heard of this guy before, but they're trying to basically be like, oh, it's his fault here. The White House was blindsided by the idea, now dealing with a furious backlash from conservative allies, business leaders, and lawmakers. The White House, blindsided by the idea. Huh? What? Hold on. No, nobody else? Nobody else had an issue with the fact that there's a 50-year mortgage? JD Vance didn't be like, yo, my homie, oh, Mr. President. You know, I don't think this is a really good idea. You're gonna piss off your base. No, they were just blindsided by this idea. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm sure the Federal Housing Finance Agency director is more than happy to have the 50-year mortgage because they're fucking scum. But you can't just blame surely there's other people involved with this decision that could have told Trump, yeah, by the way, this is gonna piss your base off significantly. White House officials are furious with Bill Pulte? I don't know, man. The Federal Housing Financing Agency director, who talked to the president into suggesting a 50-year mortgage plan. The White House was blindsided by the idea, according to two people familiar with the situation, granted anonymity, to discuss internal thinking, and is now dealing with a furious backlash from conservative allies, business leaders, and lawmakers. Right, I'm pressing exit down on that shit. On Saturday evening, Pult arrived at President Donald Trump's Palm Beach Golf Club with roughly 3x5 poster board in hand. A graphic of former President Franklin Roosevelt appeared below 30-year mortgage and one of Trump below 50-year mortgage. The headline was "The Great American Presidents," which they used as a meme on one of the official government's accounts. I don't have the tweet pulled up, but it's great. Yes, Roosevelt. I don't really consider Roosevelt to be a great American president. I think he was a little bit too socialist for my liking, and not in the parasocialist way. Roughly 10 minutes later, Trump posted the image to Truth Social, according to one of the people familiar, who was president at the time. Let's see, will it pop up? There it is. There it is. You can actually even tell it was taken outside with the lighting here. Yeah, that was not a good idea. Almost immediately, aides were fielding angry phone calls from those who thought the idea, which would endorse a 50-year payback period for a mortgage, was both bad politics and bad policy, a move that could raise housing costs in the long run, the person said. He just sold POTUS a bill of goods that wasn't necessarily accurate, the person said. He said, FDR did it, you can do it, it's going to be a big thing. But he didn't tell them about all the unintended consequences. The episode underscores the haphazard ways consequential policies are sometimes brought before the president, and how Trump's governed by whim nature can backfire. Anything that goes before POTUS needs to be vetted, the person present for Pult's poster presentation And a lot of times with Holt, they're not. He just goes straight at the POTUS. Well, it sounds like he knows what to do to convince Trump, if this is true. One of the two people familiar said there is a more fallout from this idea than almost any other policy proposal of the second term, including from the MAGA base. I don't know. I mean, this article came out 2 days ago now. Well, something else has happened since then. There's a bit more fallout from just yet. Trump on Monday downplayed the proposal and said it was not a big deal. All it means is that you pay less per month, Trump said on a Fox News show hosted by Laura Ingraham. Pay it over a longer period of time. It's not a big factor. It might help a little bit. If it's only going to help a little bit, then why is this a good thing? There are more effective ways to handle the housing crisis because we have a housing crisis in America as well. I know the terminology is mostly used for Britain, but it's still here in the United States. People can't fucking afford houses. They can barely afford rent. Like, this is actually a huge problem at hand. And you know what? Chat, let me tell you a little secret. Let me tell you a little secret here, chat. Get close. Get close and comfortable. You want to know the best way to make housing costs go down? You want to know the best way? It's called, you deport fucking 1 million people! 100 million people! You deport millions of fucking people. That's how you fucking do it. That's how you fucking do it. They literally admitted, like, a few months ago that there's like 55 million people on visas. You get rid of all 55 million people on visas. There's about anywhere between 75 to 100 million illegals that we're aware of once again because they're illegal. You get rid of them. All of a sudden, you have a significantly less people in America, which means there's less people competing for jobs, which means the wages would go up, and there's less people competing for houses, so housing costs goes down. You don't make people rent from the fucking state. It's called re-immigration. It's a moderate solution. It's actually pretty fucking based. That is how you actually solve the problem at hand. You don't make people renters for life. That's how you solve it. But Amal, thanks to the bank's profits, oy vey. Ugh. Nevertheless, conservative influencers, including Laura Loomer, Mike Cernovich, Christopher Rufio, Sean Davis of The Federalist, and Representative Major Taylor Greene, blasted the idea on social media. Also, Amalgamyte, a know-nothing VTuber with nice titties on the side, is also blasting this because it's fucking retarded! The thing that became clear from the latest episode, if it wasn't already clear, is that Bill Pulte doesn't know the first fucking thing about how the mortgage markets operate, one of the two people said. After publicly humiliating the president with his moronic 50-year mortgage plan, it's safe to assume that his days are numbered. I think he probably does, actually. I think he probably actually does. And the thing is, I don't think Trump's dumb either. I mean, he might be a little bit too out of touch because he is so wealthy and he's more focused on his businesses and everything like that to fully understand the mortgage market here with the housing market. My apologies, but like, it doesn't take leaving me. Okay, I have 2 brain cells on a good day. I can barely do basic math. I am a woman. Even I can understand that a 50-year mortgage is just abysmal for a multitude of fucking reasons. This Bill Pulte guy knows exactly what he's doing. He wants renters for life. Because you have to pay so much more money in the long run, thanks to the interest rates. It's usury. It's fucking propaganda. Like, this is bad. And Trump should know this too, Mr. I'm a businessman. Like, this is Ugh! A slew of experts also panned the idea. It would lead buyers building equity in their homes more slowly. At the beginning of the mortgage, more of those payments tend to be interest. Gennady Goldberg, head of U.S. rate strategy at TD Securities. This is more of a stopgap band-aid to address affordability. Well, I'm glad that the Goldberg recognizes that. That's a miracle that the Goldberg is actually not a fan of this. Maybe he's more damage control on their part. On Monday, Pulte seemed to acknowledge the criticism, posting that a 50-year mortgage is just one piece of a wide arsenal of solutions that Trump administration is developing. He also mentioned other ideas, including portable mortgages, which can transfer to a new property, assumable mortgages, which can be transferred to a property's new buyer. Now, this is where my pea brain kind of comes in. I don't exactly see the issue with carrying over an interest rate to a new house. Like, if you got really lucky and you managed to get, let's say, like a 4% interest rate by some miracle, and with your current house, and you're trying to buy a new house, you can bring it over. I'm sure it's probably going to have some sort of risk with it. I'm sure it's probably not actually going to be all nice on paper, actually, because they're trying to screw you out of money somehow. But my pea brain doesn't see an exact problem with that. But what they don't seem to understand, or maybe they actually do understand in full, is that the 50-year mortgage will just actually make it so much worse in the long run. It's not part of a wide arsenal of solutions. You're actively making things worse, so the rest of the solutions won't actually work out as well. Because the whole entire housing market is going to be pushing for those 50-year mortgages, because the bank will get more money from it. And there's two people out there that are dumb enough that see just a lower monthly payment, and they're gonna go for it. And it's gonna affect the housing costs, because they can sell the houses for more money that way, because there's lower payments and shit. Like it's not going to be. It's not a part of a white arsenal of solutions. It's making everything worse. This house was promised to me 50 years ago. White House spokesperson Davis Ingle said Trump is committed to making it easier and more affordable to achieve the American dream of homeownership by eliminating unnecessary red tape, increasing supply, and lowering costs. That's not how you lower costs! There's too many fucking foreigners. Repeal the Hart-Stiller Act already. Jesus fucking Christ. The White House and the entire Trump administration are appreciative of Mr. Polk's efforts.
Is it the Jews? I'm assuming it's always the Jews.
I wonder why Mossad's calling me at this time while I'm talking about mortgages and usury and interest rates. What a shock. The White House and the entire Trump administration are appreciative of Mr. Polk's efforts, and everyone's working together to implement the president's policies, Ingalls said. Okay. An FHFA spokesperson told Politico that inflation under former President Joe Biden destroyed the housing market. That's one of many reasons why the housing market is destroyed, yes, and you're not going to be able to get that inflation down unless you deport everybody that came under Biden and also the past 50 fucking years. Thank you very much. Have a good night. As a result, we are setting a myriad of options to combat the damage it's done, the spokesperson said. This is not the first time Polk's policy proposals have caused headaches. He was also behind the idea Trump floated earlier this year to take Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac public, which also resulted in significant pushback from the industry. I don't know what Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are. They sound familiar, but I don't know what they are from the top of my head. But I don't think that's probably a good idea based off Polk's track record so far. It was also Polk who first lodged mortgage fraud allegations against a federal It was also Polk who first lodged mortgage fraud allegations against a Fed Governor Lisa Cook that Trump later used to fire her. Cook's firing has been blocked in the courts, and the case is pending before the Supreme Court. Well, I'm against the feds, and I'm also against women in politics, so I might actually be a reasonable person to get kicked out. However, I still don't trust this Polk guy at this rate, so it's hard to tell. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are the government-owned mortgage lenders that low-key caused the 2008 crisis. See, I was a child. I was a very, very small child when that happened. Fuck them. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are the quasi-government banks/agencies that scoop up loans and control lending regulations. Okay, so then what would happen if they go public then? Because usually when businesses go public, that's when things really go to shit. However, I don't really trust, if they already did this much damage while private, what would be the best way to destroy them without actually hurting the people? They're basically buy loans and replace them for investors to buy as collateralized debt obligations. Lovely. Okay, once again, how do we destroy these people? Or these not people, these organizations? I want them to burn. Politico has also recently reported that Republicans in Congress are also growing increasingly frustrated with him. Understandable. Now, senior administration officials are increasingly getting fed up with Polk's approach, yet Polk remains close with the president and has direct assets that aides have not been able to control. Trump isn't just Polk's biggest ally in the admin, he's perhaps his only friend. That's not a good sign. Because J.D. Vance, so I have all these are a little bit later in my tabs currently, but J.D. Vance is the only one within the admin counter-signaling Trump right now, and he's the vice president. If this is true from this whistleblower here, that this Polk guy is only Trump's friend, that's not exactly good, because it's not looking great right now. Said one person familiar with their dynamic. During Trump 2.0, the last time anything got as much pushback as this was over the Epstein files, MAGA is furious. Well, Once again, I have more reasons for people to be upsetty. In a statement warning that 50-year mortgages would not address the true cause of today's affordability challenges, the National Association of Realtors chief economist Loris Yun said the homeowners could still gain some equity as long as the mortgages are soundly underwritten. I don't. I mean, I agree that it's not addressing the true cause of today's affordability challenges, but I don't think we're going to be able to get much equity out of this at all. Oh my god. Yeah, no, I don't believe this. They're just trying to make a scapegoat, somebody to pin the blame on for what Trump did, because I mean, he's not walking this back. He is perfectly proud about this, and people are reasonably pissed off by how ridiculous it is. And yet he keeps pressing on. Though we'll see if this 15-year car loans actually happens, because once again, it's reportedly working on. They reportedly take it with a grain of salt, and seeing how much blowback this is getting, they would be smart not to actually go ahead with it. But we're gonna see about that. Part of the problem there. So interesting. A woman. Don't make me believe women can actually do something good. Oh, but you know, if you thought the 15-year mortgage is bad, not 15, but 50-year mortgage is bad there for your houses. And you know that the actual solution to the problem is to just start mass deporting a bunch of people here. Well, have you possibly heard of, instead of importing 600,000 Chinese students instead? So let's not only increase mortgages to 50 years, and then you're gonna be, you know, you'll own nothing and be happy, but you also have to compete with 600,000 Chinese students as well. Are you happy, chat? Because the thing is, right? The thing is, with these visas, they don't just simply come in and then leave once the time is over. They stay. There are so many loopholes in this fucking system for people to sneak in that they just stay. They're almost never actually deported. They get the visa, they get the student visa, and then they work on getting a green card, or they get a work visa. Or they do stuff under the table, though they're Chinese, so I doubt they're gonna be doing much under the table things. Like, these people come in and they fucking stay. The government has to actively deport them, and that never fucking happens, because nothing ever happens. And so these 600,000 Chinese students are gonna come in, and they're just going to stay. Yet this is a good thing.
Folks are not thrilled about this idea of hundreds of thousands of foreign students in the United States. We have about 350,000 Chinese. One point during COVID, you were going to, push to, get them out, but that was pulled back. You've said as many as 600,000 Chinese students could come to the United States. Why, sir, is that a pro-MAGA position when so many American kids want to go to school and there are places not for them, and these universities are getting rich off Chinese money?
Sure. Never said about China, but we do have a lot of people coming in from China. We always have, China and other countries. We also have a massive system of colleges and universities. And if we were to cut that in half, which perhaps makes some people happy, you would have half the colleges in the United States go out of business.
So what?
Base! Absolutely fucking base! I want these colleges to go out of business. College is a fucking scam at this point. Oh my god, I'm gonna go on my college rant. Bear with me, chat. But college is a fucking scam, okay? Not everybody needs to get a degree. And I know there's been a huge push for trades, and if we push too much for trades, the trades are going to have the same problem again, but it's not going to be as bad. Because not everyone needs a degree. When everyone is being pushed to go into the same thing, you have a flooding of these different degrees, and they all come out at the same time, and only certain people can get jobs. And when you add in foreign students, like these Chinese folks, or the Indians with their H-1B mills as well, then you have even a more increased competition as well. And then you have these useless degrees like gender studies, lesbian dance theory, liberal arts in general. Like, there's all these useless degrees that you don't actually need a degree to learn. In fact, it's a lot better if you teach yourself than go to college for this stuff, because college is just the bare bones. Not to mention, you spend the first 2 years on useless things because the college wants to get more money off of you. It's not even really off of you, it's off the government. Before you actually get into the meat and bones of whatever your degree is for. The only degrees that are really useful are STEM. And once again, if you have too many people going into one degree, then you're going to have just oversaturation of that degree, and not everybody's going to be able to get a job. You need people to work other things like trades. And when you have the whole schooling system for the past 50 years just to pump more people going into colleges, and you have women in the workforce who are also obligated to get degrees too, then the oversaturation, it's already just way too extreme. And then once again, you add the foreigners, it gets worse. Like, no, that's why nobody can fucking get a job. And you want to make it worse by bringing in 600,000 Chinese fuckers? They're all spies. And I mean, they're all spies. Okay, hyperbolic, fear-mongering, oh, the dumb VTuber woman, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, listen. How many stories of Chinese students do we need to read before we actually realize that, yes, they are all spies from the CCP? Like, earlier this year, it's the VOD's lost in the void at this point. I reread an article going over these Chinese students in Michigan from the University of Michigan who were purposely trying to bring in a fungus that would completely wipe out the wheat industry. And they've done the same thing with the chestnut trees. There's a magical Chinese fungus that came into the United States and is bringing our chestnut trees to bring to extinction. Or with the oranges as well. Now we have to actually import our oranges because we can't actually grow American oranges anymore because of another Chinese virus. This happens all the fucking time. Listen, I don't fucking care if this is racist because I'm racist. I'm all aware of this, and I fuck the Chinese. Like, they are the Jews of Asia. Like, they are absolutely insane. We don't need more of these. We don't need them competing for places in college, and we don't need them competing for jobs, and we definitely don't need them coming in and spying and bringing in God knows what bioweapons as well. Like, this is just mass fucking suicide, and Trump's like, no, this is actually a good thing. This is a good thing. Because the colleges will go out of business. Yeah, I want the colleges to go out of business. If they are so reliant on government money because they can just charge whatever the fucking wazoo that they want because it's just all student loans, it's all coming from the government, they can charge whatever they want, then they should just fail. They should just fucking fail. And these are the same colleges that are pushing DEI. They're filled with these Marxist professors that are actually trained to be Marxist professors since the 70s now, and to make your children communist. I once again, this is not an exaggeration. Once we get done with the Trump topic today, well, have you ever heard of Berkeley? Well, let's see how Berkeley treats Trump supporters a little bit later in the stream. But that's a little teaser there. Like, this is a problem across the entirety of the United States, even in red states. Like, it's insane. Yeah, but these colleges are going to go out of business, and that's bad.
Well, I think that's a big deal.
Are they fans
you would have the
of the United States?
Yeah, but you would have, as you know, historically, black colleges and universities would all be out of business. You would have a system.
Good, but I don't give a shit. If they can't afford to go to college and out of student loans because, once again, they're charging up the wazoo because they're all getting paid by the government, they don't really care about you, the person, then go ahead. Fuck them. I don't care.
System of colleges and universities.
So we're dependent on China to keep our university system going?
But I think it's good to have. I actually think it's.
See, even Laura Ingraham is pushing back against the president once again. This bitch. I've seen her in interviews before. I don't really know too much about her. I just know she's, a Fox News presenter, blah, 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 blah. But even she's just like, what are you talking about? When Fox News, the conservative quote-unquote outlet, is pushing against the president that they've been supporting, what is wrong with you?
It's good to have outside countries. Look, I want to be able to get along with the world.
They're not the French. They're the Chinese. They spy on us. They steal our intellectual property.
What, do you think the French are better?
Yes.
Really? I don't know. I'll
yes.
tell you, I'm not so sure. We've had a lot of problems with the French where we get taxed very unfairly on our technology.
Like, Trump basically just asks is like, are you racist? Are you racist and you think the French are better than the Chinese? That sounds like racism to me. That's basically what he was saying with that question. Like, yes, the French are better. And yes, it's because they're white and European. Crucify me. I don't fucking care. Like, we don't have to worry about that. I'll take a Frenchman over a Chinese any fucking day.
Technology where, they put 25% taxes on American products. Look, assuming everyone treats us badly, because that's the way I am, but we take in trillions of dollars from students. The students pay more than double when they come in from most foreign countries. I want to see our school system thrive. But at the same time, I know you and I disagree.
Yeah.
We're never going to agree on
No.
it, but that's okay. And it's not that I want
Sorry. I just love her facial reaction. I have to go by. Oh, can I do frame by frame? I can't do frame by frame on Twitter.
most foreign countries. I want to see our school system thrive. But at the same time, I know you and I disagree.
Yeah.
We're never going to agree on it.
Well, her facial reaction on this is just like it's hilarious. It's like the one little gleaming sliver of gold from this interview. It's just her facial reaction where she sits there almost in disbelief on what the president is saying to her on this, and just like yes, like really, you're actually saying this. You're actually saying this live on air.
That's okay. And it's not that I want them, but I view it as a business. We have millions and millions of people. Also, I want to get along with countries if possible. You know, people are shocked. Remember, Hillary Clinton said, we'll be in a war. I stopped 8 wars in the last 9 months. I don't want to be in wars.
Right, I don't want to be in wars either. And I'm well aware that, you know, America is the world hegemon, which is a good thing. If we're not the world hegemon, China is, and they'll be getting involved. So I'm aware, as much as it upsets me because I'm an isolationist, I am aware that we have to get involved with foreign countries' conflicts because we are the world leader. We're the ones with the big stick. We're the one that has to be in control. And if we're not the ones doing it, then China will. I'm aware of that unfortunate factor. It's one of the downsides of being the world hegemon. At the same time, I don't give a shit about foreign conflicts. I care about America because I am America first. You know, the whole point of MAGA is to make America great again. Like, I literally don't fucking care about foreign conflicts. I get we have to dabble in them to have our world hegemony and control. I get that. But you can't pivot on this point and talk about how amazing I am because I stopped 8 world wars. No, you're not amazing to me. Because right now, I want about 150 million people to fucking deported right now, both here illegally and legally. I don't fucking care. I want the Browns gun. I want to be able to afford a house and kids. I want to be like a home. I want to homeschool my kids. I want to be a stay-at-home mom. And you know how impossible it is in the year of the Lord 2025 because of how many fucking foreigners are here. Also, women in the workforce, but still, like, it's just that's I don't really care. I do not care about what happens out in the fucking sandbox over there. I don't care.
If I am in a war, we're going to win the thing fast, and it'll be violent. But you know what? I don't want to be in wars. But one thing. You don't want to cut half of the people, half of the students from all over the world that are coming into our country, destroy our entire university and college system.
Yes.
I don't want to do that.
I do.
And don't forget, MAGA was my idea. MAGA was nobody else's
fuck
idea.
off.
I know what MAGA wants better than anybody else. And MAGA wants to see our country thrive.
Yeah, I want to see the country thrive by deporting all the fucking Browns. It's not that difficult of a concept. When you have significantly less, it's simple supply and demand. My woman, pea-brain, can understand supply and demand, okay? Like, when you have less people in the country, a higher demand for wages goes up because they need more workers. Then then that makes wages go up, so then people can afford shit again. Housing costs go down because there's less people to actually buy those fucking houses. And same for colleges. While they can charge whatever because the government's going to be paying for it with their student loans, at the same time, if there's less demand, when they're getting less money from the government because less people are going to college, then wow, almost like college costs go down, and so you don't have to be, once again, stuck forever with a debt hanging around your neck like a fucking albatross here for the rest of your goddamn life because you're paying over hundreds of thousands of dollars for a simple piece of paper. Like, it's almost like that's how it fucking works. I was the one who created MAGA. I know MAGA better than anybody else. Okay, yes, okay, MAGA was your idea, and it was quite clever. I will give Trump that. Make America great again. MAGA rolls off the tongue. It's a great motto. It's awesome. But you're not making America great again by importing foreigners to replace the actual people. You're no different than the Democrats who want to import a bunch of illegals for their voting base and other foreigners like Zoran Mamdani. You're just doing it with the other fucking foreigners like the Chinese and the Indians. Like, I literally don't care. I don't want foreigners in my country. Why is that such a hard... That's how you make America great again. It's not a hard fucking concept. Ugh! It's so fucking frustrating. Takes more than deporting to thrive. You need to build up efficient and productive industry and feed it cheap and good raw resources in industry. We can do that. I know the United States can't be 100% self-sufficient. I'm aware. Like I know, like rubber comes from like South America, for example. So we do need some international trade there. But for the most part, America can be self-sufficient on a lot of things. We do have industry. We used to have the industry, and then we decided to sell it off overseas to China. And then people can't get jobs. But for some reason, we keep on importing people since the 90s when it comes with the H-1B visas. There. Like, it's possible. It is completely possible. We did this before we started importing people like crazy. Like, the Hart-Celler Act was in 1965. That's when we loosened our immigration systems because it was considered racist thanks to Lyndon B. Johnson and the Civil Rights Act. Reagan gave amnesty in the 80s. The H-1B stuff started in the 90s. Like, this is all within a generation. This is all within a lifetime that America has gone from 85% white and actually not that populated because, you know, it's a majority white country, to now we're at 55% white, and we have all these foreigners in here that are clearly making our lives worse. We went to the fucking moon. We were the leader in the car industry. Like, we have all these different industries in the United States that still technically exist and can still exist again if we wanted to make it happen. It is possible. How did we survive for as long as we did? How did we become the world hegemon without American people? We don't have to import a bunch of foreigners to make it happen. Like, this is retarded. We have old manufacturing plants that are sitting abandoned because the EPA regulation shut them down. Not that they can't be functional. Yes. See, there's a million different things that we can do to become as great as we were back in the 50s and before the civil rights in the 60s. Like, we became the world hegemon for a reason. We have the people, actual real Americans, not these foreigners that have become in the past 50 years. You know, we actually have the people. We have the schools, if we really want to care about the schooling here. Like, we have the means to make this happen. We don't have to import foreigners. I should add before we move on to the next clip, is that technically Trump did admit about the Chinese students earlier this year, and I did cover it and chimped out then as well. There was a correction that the time period is actually 600,000, but it's only within 2 years, which is the same policy as it was before, so therefore it's fine. So this is just repeating this back from June this year that he's doing in this. It's just people are remembering again because of the most recent interview. I'm still chipping out again, even though months later, because I still fucking hate this. I still don't care if we're continuing policy. It's still bad. Like, I still don't want 600,000 Chinese students coming in, even with a 2-year period. Like, I want them gone. Like, I don't care this happened. This was originally announced in June, and now we're remembering back in November. I still don't want them here. I don't care, even as part of this whole deal for tariffs. China was willing to sacrifice a 45% tariff deficit to flood American colleges with CCP loyalists and muscle intelligent natives out of the elite. Total disaster. But, you know, here we are again. And we're going to import even more foreigners with the H-1Bs. Even though we had the whole H-1B Christmas crash out from Elon Musk last year. Literally on Christmas Day. And Vivek Ramaswamy was kicked out of Doge because of this. Even the H-1B topic has been a hot topic for almost a year now, because we're in November now. Christmas crash out was last year. It's almost been 1 year since that has happened. And we're still talking about it because it's still a massive problem, not only within the tech industry, but also the trucker industry as well. And as well, just general industries. The H-1B program is flooding the entire United States with low-level Indian workers that have literal scam degree mills coming out to actually take American jobs. This is not fear-mongering. This is not hyperbole. This is actually literally happening in real time. And it's a huge issue that MAGA has been talking about for almost a year now, that everybody's pissed off about, doesn't want to support it.
Never going to be a country like what we have right now.
And does that
the
mean
Republicans have to talk about it?
And does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with
Even Laura Ingraham, the woman, is telling Trump this. During the interview, she is just pounding Trump about this problem. This is his response.
You also do have to bring in talent. When
we have plenty of talented people
here. No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here?
No, you don't have certain talent.
We don't have talented people here. No, you don't. No, you don't. We don't have talented people here? No, we don't. Okay then. Welcome to Make America Great Again, chat. Are you feeling represented? You know, do you feel like Trump is in touch with his base at all, chat? Do you feel like Trump is the final solution? That this is just as bad as Hillary Clinton's basket of deplorables. Oh, flashback to 2016 and that wonderful shit show, right? When Hillary Clinton would call MAGA, basket of deplorables. And that was a huge blunder on her because she's literally calling like half the voting base retarded, essentially horrible people. Now it's Trump, almost 10 years later, is telling the same thing to his own base that you're not talented, by the way. That you who has a STEM degree and in I don't know engineering, bioscience, whatever the case is, you are talentless. You can't get a job? Well, too fucking bad. You're gonna get replaced by Indian instead. Now, to be fair, I'll let him finish his quote. He will explain himself why, and I have a counter argument against it too.
And people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles, or I'm going to put you.
How did we ever do it before?
Well,
I'll
give you an example. In Georgia, they raided because they wanted illegal immigrants out. They had people from South Korea that made batteries all their lives. Making batteries are very complicated. It's not an easy thing and very dangerous. A lot of explosions, a lot of problems. They had like 500 or 600 people, early stages, to make batteries and to teach people how to do it. Well, they wanted them to get out of the country. You're going to need that, Laura. I mean, I know you and I disagree on this. You can't just say a country's coming in, going to invest $10 billion to build a plant, and going to take people off an unemployment line who haven't worked in 5 years, and they're going to start making missiles. It doesn't work that way. There's never...
So, chat, you don't have to tell me if you're unemployed or not, but if you are unemployed, do you think you have the brain power? Do you think you have at least 100 IQ to be able to figure out how to make batteries? Minus the automation side. If somebody were to show you put this thing here and you put that thing there, you can make a battery? There was actually a guy who made a battery. Actually, was it a battery? It was a chip. I think it was a chip. I didn't get the tab pulled up, and I should have. But I basically, this guy made one in a week in his garage. Battery factories don't explode, at least not if they're working safely. Well, that's why we have all this regulation for, after all. Training is completely different than keeping them here. Yes, and there's also the fact that they don't leave. Like I said earlier with the tiny students and the visas there, they don't fucking leave. We already have so many H-1B visas coming in already as it is, and they still haven't left. I mean, the admin themselves came out a few months ago and said we have 55 million people on visas already. They can all go. This is completely possible. There are people like my ex. He lost his job during COVID. While he was waiting and trying to find a new job, he just decided to build a computer because he was bored. He looked up how, and I know building computers aren't actually that complicated here. But there are plenty of guys with plenty of autism. I'm well aware between you guys, chat, and in my community, there are plenty of guys who just build stuff because they're bored and they want to. And I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm an expert at battery manufacturing, anything like that, but like Laura Ingram asked, we did this before. Why can't we do this again? Like, we have the tools and ability. We don't need these, what did he say, South Koreans or whatever the case is for the battery plant? We don't need them to even really teach us, or we can have one teach us if it really that's important. Like, we know how to do this already. We have the people there's so many people that are unemployed at this moment that can learn. I mean, I know 2 people that are close to me that are unemployed. Both of them with degrees. Both of them have had nice paying jobs before in the past. And both of them have lost their jobs for being let go. And then in my sister's case, also health issues. But both of them have years of experience at this point and know how to do what needs to be done for their job perspective. And they just simply can't get a job. Like, it's completely possible. We have the people here. We've done it before. We can do it again. We don't need to import them. And not to mention with the H-1Bs, it's not, he uses these South Koreans or whatever. Like, we don't, like, this is cheap foreign labor that are taking jobs not in high level areas, and we don't need them here. Of course, you have some people defending this, about like in China, children are trained to be software engineers. In America, many of them can barely read. Okay, Mr. Bill Mitchell. What are the demographics of those who can barely read here? Do we want to pull that? Want to play that game, huh? What are the demographics of those who can barely read? And then apparently it is so bad that computer science and engineering majors literally have higher unemployment rates than liberal arts in 2025. Anthropology, granted, not exactly a high demand, but physics, computer engineering, commercial art and graphic design, fine art, sociology, computer science, chemistry, information systems and management, public policy and law, liberal arts, and miscellaneous technologies here. Where physics, a really difficult degree that I am way too stupid, has a higher unemployment rate at 7.8% than liberal arts does at 5.3%. Computer engineering, 7.5%. Once again, liberal arts is 5.3%. Hell, computer engineering at 7.5% is still higher than fine arts at 7% here. Like, this is insane. Yet we don't have talented people here. And the great thing about this account, jobs.now, is that they purposely scan. This is the right account to follow here on Twitter. It's basically kind of like Data Republican, but they mostly focus on H-1Bs and visas. And actually, they dig through the different graphs and websites and actually report on how bad the visa scam is. So if you would like more information, highly recommend following this account because they go very in depth. It's like I said, it's Data Republican, but for mostly the visa shit. And you can find hidden job postings because they purposely try to hide the jobs so they can have the H-1Bs instead. That's once again how bad things have gotten. This is not good at all. This is not good. And yet, despite this, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Noem is defending this. So it's not just Trump saying this; it's the whole entire cabinet.
What is the administration's position on these visas?
Now, we're going to keep using our visa programs. We're just going to make sure that they have integrity, that we're actually doing the vetting of the individuals who come into this country, that they want to be here for the right reasons, that they're not supporters of terrorists and organizations that hate America. And that's what I think is so remarkable is under the Trump administration, we've sped up our process and added integrity to the visa programs, to green cards, to all of that. But also more people are becoming naturalized under this administration than ever before. More people are becoming citizens because we're not just streamlining and building some processes back into our immigration policies. We're also making sure that these individuals that are coming into our country and get that privilege, that they actually are here for the right reasons. The Biden administration let thousands.
She says this is like a good thing. Like, yes, before somebody gets me for that. Obviously, if we're going to be bringing anybody in here, I want them to be vetted to make sure they're not terrorists, they're not spies, blah, 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 blah. But you know it's a good way to handle that instead? You just don't let anybody in. I know, fascinating concept, but fun fact, we don't actually have to let anyone in. We don't have to let asylum seekers in. We don't have to let anybody on any visa programs, whether that be the H-1B, the L1, the O1, whatever or student visas. We don't have to let illegals in either. We don't need more people being naturalized. Once at the beginning of the stream, we already covered the clip of Trump talking about the 50-year mortgage rates and, how that's good and it's going to bring down the housing costs because your monthly payment's going to be less. Woo! Be excited, chat. But now we're going to naturalize and import more people, and that's a good thing. You don't see how that might be just ever so slightly contradictory, where you import more people that would make the housing costs go up because the demand for houses goes up, and therefore it's more that supply and demand 101. Like, hello? What? But this is a good thing? Great. Lovely. I'm so excited. Make America great again, everybody.
Of terrorists into this country. They opened the southern border. They abused our asylum programs, abused our protective programs and visa programs, and we fixed all of it. It's remarkable what President Trump has done, and it's because he's a great leader, he's a visionary, and this man is going to go down as a legend in history as our greatest president ever.
Legend as a complete fraud. Like, okay, great. We secured the border. From last I heard, granted the statistic was months ago, but border crossings were down 99%. I'm glad we don't have more illegals, because I don't like illegals either, right? I don't like illegals or legal, for the record. I hate both. I hate all foreigners here. I'm glad that we have less illegals coming in. I'm very glad that we're funding ICE and we're trying to actually deport those illegals. But at this point in time, legal immigration is a bigger issue than illegal is, because the illegals have this. There's don't get me wrong, it's still bad. There's still the Social Security scam where that's how they're able to get their votes, and obviously the Democrats love that because then they can get more power. Blah 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 blah. But legal immigration is worse because they directly just go ahead and skip that whole scam process with the Social Security, and the Democrats go ahead and get the job. And just because they had the label of legal, people think, oh, well, they're the good ones. They came here legally, therefore it's good. No, it's still a foreigner taking your job. It's just through the legal measures and having more people being naturalized to take your jobs and houses too is not a good thing. And this affects everything, not just jobs and houses. It affects cars. It affects your grocery bill. It affects your electricity bill, your water. It affects everything about daily life and makes everything so much more expensive. And then you wonder why people aren't having kids. And then there's also the whole dating scenario scene as well being absolutely destroyed with feminism as well. Like, this is all a multifaceted issue. But a good chunk can be solved by just deporting all the foreigners, illegal and illegal. We don't need these people here. This is not a good thing. Legals are worse because they don't integrate, not like illegals do either, and they're harder to remove from the country. Exactly. They don't integrate at all. Assimilation is a fucking myth. Yeah, there's 0.01% of people that do actually assimilate, but I'm not sacrificing my whole country, my people, my nation for 0.01% of people who actually do assimilate when the 99.9% that are still here don't assimilate at all and make everything a million times worse. Just go to fucking Costco. Just go out and with the driving accidents with the semi-drivers and the Indians. It's, once again, so bad that Fox News, not just Laura Ingraham, is also talking about it. Like, Fox News is supposed to suck Trump's dick, not oust him.
100,000 H-1B visa holders in America. Now, 700,000 H-1B visa holders in America. Now, who is coming to this country to take these high-skilled jobs? As I mentioned, STEM fields dominate the occupations, and most of the workers come from India. In fact, 70% of H-1B visa holders come from India. Another 10 to 15% come from China. 80% of H-1B visa approvals are for entry-level or junior-level jobs. That's a little hard to stomach when we hear that we're not talented enough or that we're not skilled enough for these jobs, when you consider that most of these jobs are actually at entry or junior-level jobs.
And then you wonder why you, honorable chatter, unemployed one, can't get a job with your bachelor's degree and whatever STEM field you have. And then we wonder why I had that statistic pulled up just like 5 minutes ago about why STEM fields are the highest unemployment rates. How do you feel, chat? How do you feel? Because I'm mad as hell. I want to get mad as hell, chat. Like, there's no point in blackpilling because they want us to be demoralized. They want us to be all depressed so we don't do anything. But I'm fucking mad as hell. Because this is infuriating. It should not be like this.
And it's definitely to the benefit of corporations, tech companies that can hire foreign workers, trust me on this, cheaper than American workers. This is laid out, by the way, by billionaire tech entrepreneur Palmer Luckey.
There's so much H-1B abuse. You would not believe what I saw when I was in Silicon Valley. It is insane. It's obviously a program to try and replace U.S. workers with basically slave labor that can't ever escape. The H-1B abuse is crazy.
Oh, this is just a clip. But I've reported on the H-1B crisis since the Christmas crash out last year. What's this tab? Oh, I should have had this earlier. Sorry, I didn't put these in order. That's my apologies, chat. So Trump already came out for support of the H-1Bs. We had Christine Noem also supporting the H-1Bs here. And now we have Treasury Secretary Bessent also supporting the H-1Bs. So this is what I meant when I said earlier that his whole entire cabinet is in full support of this.
There's 20, 30 years we have offshored precision manufacturing jobs. And the president's point here is, we can't snap our fingers and say, you're going to learn how to build ships overnight. We want to bring semiconductor industry back to the U.S. There are going to be big facilities in Arizona. So I think the president's vision here is to bring in overseas workers where these jobs went.
Who have skills.
Who have the skills 3, 5, 7 years to train the U.S. workers, then they can go home. The U.S. workers fully take over.
So do you understand the concern that people have? Hey, an American could have that job. Why you give it to a guy from
But
India
an
or
American
China?
can't have that job.
So
because,
it's specific skills.
Because we haven't built ships in the U.S. for years. We haven't built
Why haven't we built ships in the US for years? Who did this to us? To the point we had to sell our industry overseas. Was it because Americans didn't want to work back then? Even though that's been a mantra that's been said for well over 100 years at this point? Is it because we're just not talented enough that we couldn't build those ships here in America in the first place? Or was it because of the cheap labor that the overseas has, and that's why we haven't built these ships in several years here? And why, if we did it before it was shipped over, we had to train them somehow then, right? Originally, before it got shipped over. Why, and that's before we started importing mass amount of foreigners. Why can't we train them again this time? Why do we need all these foreigners to train? We've done it once. We can do it again. Now, I'm not going to say I'm an expert at battery building, like Trump's example, or shipbuilding in this case. But when we have higher unemployment with STEM degrees than we do liberal arts, I think we actually have the talent and the brains and the people here that can actually do it. And they can learn within like a couple weeks or some shit like that. Okay? Once again, not saying I'm an expert in this, but I'm saying it's possible. We've done it once, we can do it again. And once again, I'll beat this drum again. I'll kill this horse over and over. But they're not leaving. Once you bring them here, they're not leaving unless you do some digital ID, which I fucking hate digital ID with a passion, and you actually track their every single movement. They're just going to get lost into the country just like all the other visas have already done. They're not going to leave, and they're not going to want to come here and help out and train if they know for a fact they're going to be deported again either. Though they probably still will, because they can do the remittance thing, which all foreigners do, where they just send the money back to their home countries. And so if they're only here for a few years, it's still a few years in America where they can do that and still possibly have a better life. And then once again, escape into the country, never be seen again. Why do we think we have so many foreigners here in the first place? Because they haven't been deported, because they got lost. The government doesn't actually care.
Conductors. So this idea of overseas partners coming in, teaching American workers, then returning home, that's a home run.
Gotcha.
No, it's not.
Mr. Secretary, thanks so
much. It's not. That's not how it's actually going to work in reality. And they know it. We know it. They know that we know it. And yet they keep on trying to push this bullshit anyways. Nothing more permanent than a temporary government program. Oh, yes. I hate the government so fucking much. I fucking hate the government. And because of this, now they have Caroline Leavitt on damage control. Miss Press Secretary here. Trump admin promises to continue crackdown on H-1B visa abuses. Literally right before stream, she tweeted this out from an article from the Daily Wire. Then there is this one too, she did just a little bit later, with Trump Labor Secretary Lori Chavez D. Reamer, so a foreigner, deploying every tool to end the H-1B visa abuse. I'm sorry. I'm not going to exactly trust a foreigner with having to deal with foreigner issues, which are like H-1B. Now, granted, Chavez implies Latinx here. So, and H-1B is Indian, so, you know, it might actually kind of work out here. But Caroline Leavitt on damage control, two tweets from two different articles talking about how we're going to end the H-1B visa abuse. Here's damage control coming in. Oh, how about we just shut it down permanently? How about we just don't have them at all? How about we deport the ones we currently have? But we're going to get rid of the visa abuse. You mean the whole entire system? 70% of them are Indians. They're the Jews of Southeast Asia in this case. This is abysmal. We don't need them here at all. This is just so infuriating that they're just trying to do this damage control. Listen, I never thought Trump was going to be the final solution, okay? Was I excited? Was I excited when Trump won last year? I was. I did a whole, election stream. I was super hyped about it. I voted for him last year. I voted for him in 2020. I would have voted for him in 2016 if I was old enough. I have been a Trump supporter this entire time. And I'm not even really, loyal to Trump exactly. I know not to trust any politician, because trusting politicians is gay and you're going to get your heart broken. But he was a million miles better than Kamala. I would never vote for Kamala or Biden or really any other Democrat at this point. because I know they're going to just go at warp speed and kill the country faster that way. But I at least thought with Trump that we would at least have a few steps forward. Like, I didn't think he was going to be actually the final solution. I didn't think he was going to solve all our problems. But I wasn't really expecting him to make things worse either. And by doing this, he is making the country worse. Yes, he's done some good things, especially in the beginning of his presidency, the second term here, like getting rid of the DEI, trying to get rid of that root and stem. The bridge does still exist, so it's important to remember that. Getting rid of affirmative action, reducing asylum seekers down significantly and mostly focusing on white South Africans, and also bringing in those white South Africans in, shutting down the border and funding ICE more. Like, there have been good things that he has done. I'm not so delusional and black-pilled to know that's not the case. You're not solving the true problem at hand, you're making things worse, even with the little things. I'll take DEI instead of H-1B, at least there are Americans, lol. It's a lot harder to convince the normies about legals, because they hear the name legal and think it's perfectly okay. Your choice is being stabbed in the front or stabbed in the back, yes. That's basically the situation we're in here. And it's basically his entire cabinet, except for JD Vance. So, by the sound of this tweet, apparently this is actually recent from JD Vance. I don't know if this is true or not, okay? But supposedly, based off this tweet, this is relatively recent from JD Vance. Not gonna lie, I haven't been able to verify this, and I'm kind of doubting it because the rest of the cabinet is fully supporting Trump, with Caroline Leavitt with damage control, with 2 fucking separate tweets that I saw right before stream about this bullshit. With the Treasury Secretary talking about how we're gonna train them and let them go, or whatever the case is. With Gnome also talking about it perfectly being fine. Why is, if this is actually a recent clip of JD Vance, why is the vice president, the second most powerful man in charge of the United States, the world hegemon, the only one of his cabinet counter-singling him? I love JD Vance. I think it's hot as fuck, and he definitely knows how to speak to the actual people. Like, he knows how to talk to the actual American people. But I'm starting to think, and I've kind of had this thought for a minute here, but after today, I'm almost like completely sure that they just have him as like the speaker, really. I know there's already the press secretary, but I feel like he is the propaganda mouthpiece in a way, because if everyone else is supporting Trump and saying this is a good thing, why is the vice president counter-signaling? But let's listen to him. Let's actually listen to him and see what it is. But I'm starting to be a little bit suspicious here.
And you want to talk about like populism, and you want to talk about people being pissed off. Well, yeah, people are pissed off when they don't have good jobs, and people are pissed off when things disappear and move overseas, and people are pissed off when they feel like, you know, other countries are being prioritized over the United States of America, and all of that is part of the populist resentment of the past, 20 or 30 years in American politics. You know what really pisses people off? When they realize that their loved ones are dying much sooner than everybody else. And that is a big part of the story of what's going on in Appalachia, and why I think so many people in Appalachia feel left behind. I mean, my story, obviously, it's been, like you said, I'm like the golden boy. That things have just worked out for me in this really incredible way. I feel so lucky and so grateful for it. But I also feel a certain sense of guilt, because there are a lot of people who grew up in families like mine who haven't had an easy life, and who haven't had all this economic opportunity, and who haven't had, a person that they've fallen in love with, and they've been able to sort of build a stable, nice family like me and Usha have been able to build. And that gives me a sense of purpose, because I want those people to have the same opportunities that I've had. But it also gives me a great sense of anger, because we never should have gotten to the point that we are today. And the reason that we have is because of failed leadership, and it's failed leadership over generations. And by the way, you talk about Appalachia, you were talking about.
I mean, so far, he is completely correct with everything he's been saying. So why isn't he talking to Trump and telling Trump that this is what the base wants? That the base is angry at him bringing in 600,000 Chinese students, which, once again, that was announced months ago, and it's only been brought up recently with the Fox News interview. Why isn't he telling Trump that people are angry over the H-1B visa? It's been almost a year since the Christmas crash out happened with Elon Musk. Okay, we're almost at the year anniversary for that. Why isn't he telling Trump this? Why isn't he telling about the 50-year mortgage here? Like, he is clearly in touch with the base, and he's also a poster. Have you seen fucking his tweets? Did you see his Halloween costume? Like, he is clearly in touch with what the base wants. But for some reason, he clearly has no power, no actual influence with the administration at this point in time, because Trump is completely ignoring everything JD Vance is saying, that everybody clearly agrees and makes people think JD Vance is our guy. So, is JD Vance actually our guy? Because I know he's got the Palantir connections, he's obviously got the Indian wife. I was willing to look those over if there was actual action being taken. You know, because unfortunately, he's still a politician, which once again, you should still never trust politicians, even though I think he's hot as fuck. But so therefore, you do have to take the good with the bad in some degree. I was willing to swallow that if things were getting done. But now I look at him and I listen to him and I just think he is just the propaganda mouthpiece to appease the base and tell them everything's fine. But when you listen to everybody else that's around Trump, they're all saying what Trump is saying. Only JD Vance is talking otherwise.
People who, though they don't have much, would take the shirt off their back and give it to a complete stranger because that's what you do. If you go back to America's biggest wars, World War I, World War II, Vietnam, which are the counties that filled their draft quotas with volunteers instead of with draftees? It's very often the parts in deep Appalachia where you've got grinding poverty, but you've also got this incredible love of country. So if any place in this country deserves not to be left behind, it's Appalachia. But on the public health stuff in particular, the numbers don't look good. And it's one of the reasons why I'm such a big supporter of what you're doing, because these are people who deserve to live better, healthier lives, but they really have been left behind by this country's leadership.
Which is true. And by the way, it's not just Appalachia that has been left behind. It's across the United States as well. But if you look at the demographic maps, the only countries that are still counties, the only counties that are over 90% white are the ones within Appalachia and then or northern United States as well. So he's basically indirectly saying white people by saying Appalachia. So with this, but I'm not really trusting this because he's saying the right things. He's just not doing the right things. And I know I see you guys in chat saying that the vice president usually doesn't have any power, but we can clearly tell with this administration, with how much focus JD Vance does have, that he does have some sort of influence in some way. They're clearly using him for some sort of tool, whether that be propping him up for election in 2028 or just trying to speak to the base, whatever the case is. You know, they're clearly using him for something, and he's well loved. He's absolutely loved by a lot of people, despite the Palantir, despite the Indian wife thing, you know. And so he does seem to have, like, with the whole like Zelensky thing. That's another thing that was good from the administration earlier this year, putting Zelensky in his place. Have you said thank you yet? Like, he's a massive meme. He knows what to do, or at least should know what to do. Why is this the case? More power than Kamala did. Well, Kamala the border czar. And like I said, so this is even older. From, not even really that old. This is from October, right? So October 16th, this clip came out. So almost a month ago, JD Vance said this.
But I'd make a couple points about this. First of all, I've heard a lot of the criticisms, the fear that we're going to have a brain drain. If you go back to the 50s and 60s, the American space program, the program that was the first to put a human being on the surface of the moon, was built by American citizens, some German and Jewish scientists who had come over during World War II, but mostly by American citizens who had built an incredible space program with American talent. This idea that American citizens don't have the talent to do great things, that you have to import a foreign class of servants and professors to do these things, I just reject that. I actually think we invest in our own people, we can do a lot of good. You've heard that criticism in particular as the president has talked about cracking down on foreign student visas and their abuses, but I think that's actually an opportunity for American citizens to really flourish. And here's the second. But I make a couple points about this. First of all,
okay, So this is JD Vance from October 16th, basically saying everything that I already said this stream about how it's ridiculous that there's no talent in the United States here. You know, that we did it before, went to the moon, blah blah blah, it was by the American people. He's not directly saying white people, but he means the white people again. So then here we are, a month later, and Trump says we don't have any talent. There's clearly some sort of a massive gulf between JD Vance and Trump. And, well, once again, I know historically the vice president hasn't really had much power and influence before. He technically can. Like, he's still the vice president. If Trump actually gets assassinated, because there's already been like a million attempts on him, JD Vance is the one going to be in control. The vice president is there to support and help the president. Why is there this massive gulf between the two of them here? Because clearly there's something going on. Clearly there's something going on that we, the plebeians, you, the normie, the little goy, aren't supposed to know or pay attention to. Because JD Vance is saying exactly what we want to hear, but the actual president says otherwise. It just makes you think. I hate to sound black-pilled, but Kirk was America's last hope. They took that from us now. Even Kirk was controlled, but as soon as he started the break from the donors, they should America. That's what happens if you do. I know. Okay, I know what you mean. I agree. I wasn't exactly a big fan of Charlie Kirk, but because I thought he was just another conservative establishment. As his death has gone on, unfortunately, it's become clear that he was a bit more based under the scenes than was given to, and it's just such a shame. Like, I mean, it's a shame that he was assassinated in the first place, even regardless of how secretly based he was. Like, it shouldn't have happened. I was pissed off. I was actually genuinely upset. Everyone was. And how blatantly obvious the left was just gloating about his death. So, like, for 2 weeks straight, was non-stop leftist gloating over Charlie Kirk's assassination. Clearly happy about it. And the right was justifiably angry that the guy was assassinated simply for talking to people. And Trump and the administration did the whole memorial service, went to his funeral, you know, designate Antifa as a terrorist organization. And what has happened? What has actually happened here? Nothing has happened.